Vaibhav. In today's session of Market Movers, we are going to take a look on the Euro USD, which has been consolidating for past couple of sessions just above 1.21, and it looks likely that it is not going to go back towards 1.20. Instead, the probability is a lot higher of it continuing to rally, albeit after some correction towards the price levels of 1.22. So we will see how we can play out this emerging scenario. If we take a look on the market developments, in the day we got this US initial jobless claims just a while back, and as expected, there is some increase in the weekly initial jobless claims, which now stand at 793,000 for the week ended 6th February, and this is higher than the expectation, but below the 800K mark. So at least that is something to take note of. And apart from that, there was not much on the data rocket for the day. So in a way, it was a light data calendar. And the major theme which has been driving the market has been the continued accommodative monetary policy stance. And in yesterday's speech, Mr. Powell underlined the need for continuing with this easy monetary policy, and he said that he sees the US economy far away from the full employment levels, and as a result of that, he is going to keep continuing with the current stance. And also, there is this background talk of the possible US stimulus measures, additional stimulus measures by Biden administration. We are still to see full details emerging, but that is also there. So both these factors are helping the equity markets keep up with the gains, and I am even after these record highs, I am still bullish on the equity segment, and the US dollar is likely to remain on the softer side, at least for next couple of sessions. So now let's turn our attention to the technical outlook. Here we will cover the Euro USD first, and then I will also talk about the USDJPY's technical outlook. Let's start with the Euro USD first. This is the daily time frame chart, and here the Euro USD has rebounded well after getting closer to the 50% Fibonacci retracement of its rally, and this reversal has been fairly sharp. But after getting above this 1.21 mark, it has struggled for last two sessions, and even in today's session, the range has been fairly narrow, where it has consolidated in an around 1.211 to 1.214, and I think some breakout is required before we see its trading range widening. So if we have to consider its technical formation, the regression curve has now slowly bent on the bullish side, and on the higher side we do have this resistance in place in the form of temple pivot point, which is there around 1.217. So we do need to watch out for that, and given the fact that we have already seen substantial rally of more than 150 pips, so some sort of correction of maybe 20-30 pips can't really be excluded from our analysis. And if that does happen, then I think it will open up the fresh opportunities to go for new long trades in the Euro USD. But first we will need to see that Euro USD is able to hold in this upper band of this regression curve, and it doesn't really go too deep in the lower band. So if we have to keep some levels in mind for today's session, I think as long as Euro USD is holding well within this range where it is finding some support on the lower side, closer to this 1.211 mark, we can be fairly hopeful of continuation of this bullish trajectory. And we have two factors, both these prior swing lows and the 50 SMA, which are going to prove helpful for today's analysis, and these are the two factors on which we will be relying on. So unless and until there is any sharp move on the lower side below these crucial levels, I think we can continue to look for buy trades in the Euro USD, with the possible target coming in the vicinity of central pivot point of the monthly time frame, which is there around 1.217. So from even the current levels, we can see the upside of around 30-40 pips at the minimum. And we do get the break above that, then as I said, the title is itself telling us that the next target is going to be of around 1.22. So that is something which we can expect in next couple of sessions. And on the lower side, the prior swing low or this 100 SMA area can also be considered. So for a risk of around 20-30 pips, we can expect around 40 to 50 pips move on the higher side. So risk reward ratio is not really exact 1:2, but still good enough for the Euro USD. Now let's shift our attention to another USD currency pair, which is USDJPY. Here, the USDJPY has found some support after retracing to the 38.2% Fibonacci level of its prior rally, and now it is actually on a crossroad, and there are some key levels which are going to be important from the perspective of deciding which way to trade in the USDJPY. In today's session, it has indeed found some buying momentum on the lower side after this consolidation in a very tight range, just closer to 104.5 mark. And now, as the US session has got underway, it has tried to gain some momentum above 104.7. So it will be interesting to see if it is able to cross above the yesterday's high, which is there around 104.8. And if it is able to do that, I think we will be in position to look for further upside from the current levels. But from the medium term perspective, things are still hazy, so we have to wait for more clarity. And instead of looking for medium to long term trades, I think some scalping opportunities can indeed be exploited even in the current scenario. So if we want to look for the intraday trade, I think above 50 SMA for the day should be good enough, where the target can be kept closer to these 100 SMA and 200 SMA confluence zone, which is there around 105, and the stop loss can be kept just little below the base low. So for a stop loss of around 15-20 pips, we can expect around 30 pips on the higher side. And this is purely from the intraday perspective. As I said, from medium to short term trend, the things are not that clear, and because of that, we will have to wait for a couple of sessions before the clarity emerges. But for intraday perspective, given the fact that there is some buying on the lower side, I would be in the side of the trend, even if it is on the very short term time frame. And with that in mind, the formation where we have seen this consolidation within the tight range, and as a result of that, the 20-30 pips upside can't be ruled out. We do have these major resistance in place in the form of these 100 and 200 SMA confluence area around 105. So that can be considered as our near term target for the intraday. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. A fabulous day ahead. Do subscribe to the Endoscopy webinar channel to stay updated on the market developments. Thank you all for joining in. Goodbye.